Motivator Show. The internet's most inspirational podcast. Every Saturday morning from 8 to 10 a.m. Kamala Harris, Vice President. Let's debate a future Kamala Harris presidency on the Motivator Show, the People's Town Hall. Yes! The People's Town Hall on the Motivator Show. The other guy, Donald Failure Trump's record. 6 times his businesses declared bankruptcy. Married 3 times, divorced twice. The first president impeached twice. 30,573 false or misleading claims during his presidency. Trump added $8.4 trillion to the national debt. Gasoline prices increased from $1.86 to $2.38 during his presidency. During the Trump presidency, the economy lost 2.7 million jobs. 4,157 more homicides were committed in 2020 than in 2016. A judge in New York ordered Trump to pay $83,300,000 or £65,500,000 in punitive damages to writer E. Jean Carroll. Donald Trump fined $354 million and banned from running a business in New York for 3 years. Vice President Kamala Harris, born 1964 in Oakland, California. Her father, Professor Donald Harris, Emeritus Professor of Economics at Stanford University, born 1938 in St. Anne's Parish in Jamaica. Her mother, Dr. Shamalia Gurpan, PhD, endocrinologist, breast cancer researcher, born 1938 in India, Chennai. Vice President Kamala Harris, legal and political history. In 1990, Harris was hired as a deputy district attorney in Alameda County, California. In 1998, San Francisco's District Attorney Terrence Hallinan recruited Harris as an assistant district attorney, supervising 5 other attorneys, where she prosecuted homicide, burglary, robbery, and sexual assault cases. In 2000, Harris clashed with Terrence Hallinan assistant Darrell Solomon over Proposition 21, a measure related to trying juvenile defendants in superior courts. Vice President Kamala Harris, legal and political history. In 2003, Kamala Harris told San Francisco voters she was a progressive who could bring professionalism and put competence to the job of prosecuting the city's criminals. She resoundingly defeated the 2-term district attorney Terrence Hallinan in a runoff election. In 2007, Harris ran unopposed for a second term. In 2011, she was elected Attorney General for the state of California, the first woman of color to hold the position. In 2014, Harris was re-elected against Republican Ronald Gold, winning 57.5% of the vote. Vice President Kamala Harris, legal and political history. In 2016, she was elected a member of the United States Senate to represent the great state of California. In 2020, Harris served in the Senate for roughly 4 years as she resigned after being elected Vice President of the United States of America. Vice President Kamala Harris, the presumptive nominee of the Democratic Party for the 2024 presidential elections. She has a series of firsts to her name. The first African American and first South Asian American Deputy District Attorney in Alameda County, California. A first San Francisco Assistant District Attorney. The first San Francisco District Attorney. A first Attorney General for the state of California. A first elected to United States Senator for the grand state of California. A first elected Vice President for the United States of America. Vice President Kamala Harris, yet another first. After President Biden's withdrawal from the 2024 presidential election, Harris launched her own presidential campaign with Joe Biden's endorsement. On the 2nd of August 2024, Kamala Harris secured enough votes at the Democratic National Convention, NDC, in Chicago. She is the first African American and first South Asian American woman who is now the Democratic Party's candidate for President of the United States of America. Vice President Kamala Harris, the first African American and first South Asian American Democratic Party's nominee for president. Vice President Harris and Governor Walz plan to give tax cuts to over 100 million working and middle-class Americans by expanding the child tax credit and earned income tax credit. As Vice President, she also announced the medical debt will be removed from credit reports, help cancel $7 billion of medical debt for 3 million Americans. To date, Vice President Harris has helped to deliver the largest investment in public education in American history, provide $170 billion in student debt release for almost 5 million borrowers. Vice President Kamala Harris, Democratic Party nominee for president. Why you should vote on the 5th of November. Safeguard our fundamental freedoms. Vice President Harris, fight for our future is also a fight for freedom. In this election, many fundamental freedoms are at stake. The freedom to make your own decisions about your own body without government interference. The freedom to love who you love openly with pride. And the freedom that unlocks all the others. The freedom to vote. Vice President Kamala Harris, the Democratic Party's nominee for president, why you should vote on the 5th of November. Protect civil rights and freedom. Vice President Harris and Governor Walz believe many fundamental freedoms are at stake at this election. They will fight to ensure that Americans have the opportunity to participate in our democracy by passing the John Lewis Voting Rights and Freedom to Vote Acts, laws that will enshrine voting rights protections, expand vote by mail and early voting, and more. Her administration will also continue to protect Americans from discrimination, building on her work to secure $2 billion in funding for offices of civil rights across federal governments. Vice President Kamala Harris, Democratic Party's nominee for president, why you should vote on the 5th of November. Ensure safety and justice for all. As a prosecutor, district attorney and attorney general, Kamala Harris has fought to ensure everyone has the right to safety, to dignity and to justice. Everyone should have the freedom to live in safe communities. That's why Vice President Harris is fighting to keep our communities safe from gun violence and crime, secure our borders and fix our broken immigration system, tackle the opioid crisis and fentanyl crisis, and ensure no one is above the law, including the president. Vice President Kamala Harris, Democratic Party nominee for president, why you should vote on the 5th of November. Ensure safety and justice for all. Vice President Harris will make sure that America, not China, wins the competition for the 21st century, and that we strengthen, not abdicate, our global leadership. She will invest in competitive advantages that make America the strongest nation on earth. American workers, innovation and industry, and work to ensure America remains a leader in the industries of the future, from semiconductors to clean energy to artificial intelligence. Vice President Kamala Harris, Democratic Party nominee for president, why you should vote on the 5th of November. Ensure safety and justice for all. Kamala Harris will continue to advance American economic cooperation around the world, from rallying international leaders at an AI summit in the UK to convening semiconductor business leaders in East Asia to spurring private investment across Africa. The Motivator Show. Success is ours for the taking. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's free. Press the like button and don't forget to leave a comment. Follow us on Facebook. Give us the thumbs up and share with your family and friends. We are also on Instagram and TikTok. Follow us there too. You can listen to us on galaxy.net and also Mixcloud too. The Motivator Show. The internet's most inspirational podcast. Every Saturday morning from 8 to 10 a.m. Kamala Harris, Vice President. Let's debate a future Kamala Harris presidency on The Motivator Show, the People's Town Hall. Yes! The People's Town Hall on The Motivator Show. other guy, Donald Failure Trump's record. 6 times his businesses declared bankruptcy, married 3 times, divorced twice. The first president impeached twice. 30,573 false or misleading claims during his presidency. Trump added $8.4 trillion to the national debt. Gasoline prices increased from $1.86 to $2.38 during his presidency. During the Trump presidency, the economy lost 2.7 million jobs. 4,157 more homicides were committed in 2020 than in 2016. A judge in New York ordered Trump to pay $83,300,000 or £65,500,000 in punitive damages to writer E. Jean Carroll. Donald Trump fined $354 million and banned from running a business in New York for 3 years. Vice President Kamala Harris, born 1964 in Oakland, California. Her father, Professor Donald Harris, Emeritus Professor of Economics at Stanford University, born 1938 in St. Anne's Parish in Jamaica. Her mother, Dr. Shamalia Gopal, PhD, endocrinologist, breast cancer researcher, born 1938 in India, Chennai. Vice President Kamala Harris, legal and political history. In 1990, Harris was hired as a deputy district attorney in Alameda County, California. In 1998, San Francisco's District Attorney Terrence Hallinan recruited Harris as an assistant district attorney, supervising 5 other attorneys, where she prosecuted homicide, burglary, robbery, and sexual assault cases. In 2000, Harris clashed with Terrence Hallinan assistant Darrell Solomon over Proposition 21, a measure related to trying juvenile defendants in superior courts. Vice President Kamala Harris, legal and political history. In 2003, Kamala Harris told San Francisco voters she was a progressive who could bring professionalism and put competence to the job of prosecuting the city's criminals. She resoundingly defeated the 2-term district attorney Terrence Hallinan in a runoff election. In 2007, Harris ran unopposed for a second term. In 2011, she was elected Attorney General for the state of California, the first woman of color to hold the position. In 2014, Harris was re-elected against Republican Ronald Gold, winning 57.5% of the vote. Vice President Kamala Harris, legal and political history. In 2016, she was elected a member of the United States Senate to represent the great state of California. In 2020, Harris served in the Senate for roughly 4 years as she resigned after being elected Vice President of the United States of America. Vice President Kamala Harris, the presumptive nominee of the Democratic Party for the 2024 presidential elections. She has a serious first to her name. The first African American and first South Asian American Deputy District Attorney in Alameda County, California. A first San Francisco Assistant District Attorney. The first San Francisco District Attorney her first Attorney General for the state of California, a first elected to United States Senator for the grand state of California, her first elected Vice President for the United States of America. Vice President Kamala Harris, yet another first. After President Biden's withdrawal from the 2024 presidential election, Harris launched her own presidential campaign with Joe Biden's endorsement. On the 2nd of August 2024, Kamala Harris secured enough votes at the Democratic National Convention, NDC, in Chicago. She is the first African American and first South Asian American woman who is now the Democratic Party's candidate for President of the United States of America. Vice President Kamala Harris, the first African American and first South Asian American Democratic Party's nominee for president. Vice President Harris and Governor Walz plan to give tax cuts to over 100 million working and middle-class Americans by expanding the child tax credit and earned income tax credit. As Vice President, she also announced the medical debt will be removed from credit reports, help cancel $7 billion of medical debt for 3 million Americans. To date, Vice President Harris has helped to deliver the largest investment in public education in American history, provide $170 billion in student debt release for almost 5 million borrowers. Vice President Kamala Harris, Democratic Party nominee for president. Why you should vote on the 5th of November. Safeguard our fundamental freedoms. Vice President Harris, fight for our future is also a fight for freedom. In this election, many fundamental freedoms are at stake. The freedom to make your own decisions about your own body without government interference. The freedom to love who you love openly with pride. And the freedom that unlocks all the others. The freedom to vote. Vice President Kamala Harris, the Democratic Party's nominee for president, why you should vote on the 5th of November. Protect civil rights and freedom. Vice President Harris and Governor Walz believe many fundamental freedoms are at stake at this election. They will fight to ensure that Americans have the opportunity to participate in our democracy by passing the John Lewis Voting Rights and Freedom to Vote Acts, laws that will enshrine voting rights protections, expand vote by mail and early voting, and more. Her administration will also continue to protect Americans from discrimination, building on her work to secure $2 billion in funding for offices of civil rights across federal governments. Vice President Kamala Harris, Democratic Party's nominee for president, why you should vote on the 5th of November. Ensure safety and justice for all. As a prosecutor, district attorney, and attorney general, Kamala Harris has fought to ensure everyone has the right to safety, to dignity, and to justice. Everyone should have the freedom to live in safe communities. That's why Vice President Harris is fighting to keep our communities safe from gun violence and crime, secure our borders and fix our broken immigration system, tackle the opioid crisis and fentanyl crisis, and ensure no one is above the law, including the president. Vice President Kamala Harris, Democratic Party nominee for president. Why you should vote on the 5th of November. Ensure safety and justice for all. Vice President Harris will make sure that America, not China, wins the competition for the 21st century, and that we strengthen, not abdicate, our global leadership. She will invest in competitive advantages that make America the strongest nation on earth. American workers, innovation, and industry, and work to ensure America remains a leader in the industries of the future, from semiconductors to clean energy to artificial intelligence. Vice President Kamala Harris, Democratic Party nominee for president. Why you should vote on the 5th of November. Ensure safety and justice for all. Kamala Harris will continue to advance American economic cooperation around the world, from rallying international leaders at an AI summit in the UK, to convening semiconductor business leaders in East Asia, to spurring private investment across Africa. And there you have it. It's the Motivator Show. This is where we translate our words into action, and where success is ours for the taking. How you feeling, people? How you feeling? Well, I'm feeling fantastic. Yeah, I'm feeling outstanding. With strength, I say to you, I'm the motivator. How are you feeling? I'm feeling good, just for the record. I'm feeling good. Energized. I've exercised. I've eaten well. Positive outlook, determined mind. It's the Motivator Show, where we will inspire you. And I hope you enjoyed that intro video. You can see the complete video at the end of this podcast. Be aware, be aware. We are moving people. We are energizing people. We are definitely changing the direction of many lives out there. Many, many lives. And long may that continue. Long may that continue. But before I continue, first of all, I want to recognize the other platform that this show goes out on. First of all, I want to recognize galaxy.net. In fact, let me put it on the screen to those of you who are watching us via Facebook, YouTube, or Mixcloud. There you are. You can see we go live via galaxy.net. Digital radio, a fantastic digital radio station. More than 40 years transmitting to the people. Let's give a big thumbs up to the Nana Pakumbabai, the visionary leader of galaxy.net. And say hi, of course, to my previous presenter, Ja Ogun. Yeah, I like that name. I like that name. Anyway, okay, we go out live, as you know, via YouTube under the Motivator Show brand. We go out live via Facebook, again under the Motivator brand, and of course via Mixcloud under the Motivator brand. Of course, excerpts are also transmitted via Instagram and TikTok. There are other platforms coming soon. Don't you worry. They are coming. Be aware. Be aware. Of course, these shows would not be the same without those important key messages. These messages are intended to inform, to empower, so you can make good decisions for yourself, your family, your loved ones, and of course your wider networks. Yeah? Good decisions, good decisions. And those decisions, I'm sure, will be telling. But before I get to the substance of today's podcast, I want to give another big thumbs up to another group of people who've been working hard to support those who've been affected by hurricanes in the Caribbean and the Americas. Okay, I want to just put this one up, and some of you will recognize this one. A past hurricane. Many of you will recall the very first hurricane in the Caribbean, which became a Category 5 hurricane and had devastating effects in the Caribbean, particularly in the island of Jamaica, and of course, to a limited extent in Grenada as well. We want to give support to those who continue to suffer as a result of the wealth disparity between the Caribbean and the United States of America. In America, of course, they've got this multi-billion-pound organization called FEMA. Yep. And they've got billions upon billions, whereas Jamaica and Grenada has got only a few millions to support those thousands who've been devastated by Hurricane Beryl, the first Category 5 hurricane in the Caribbean so early in this hurricane season. So give generously. Contact members of the People's National Party Social Enterprise here in the UK. Their bank details are NatWest Bank, sort code 600802, account number 298612333. It's on the screen. I repeat, sort code 600802, account number 298612333. And in the transfer, always put in reference DRF Beryl, in other words, Disaster Relief Fund Beryl. What they need to do is to identify specific items required by the people, which include non-perishable food, bed kits and pillows, children's and adult diapers, tarpaulin, zinc, building materials, and I'm showing you they are working hard to rebuild those lives devastated by Hurricane Beryl. Please give generously. I believe that is a worthy cause. Yeah? A family that takes care of itself enhances itself. I say that again. A family that takes care of itself enhances itself. And we are members of the human family. Let it be clear. Let it be clear. And one other announcement I would give before I get into the most crucial lifestyle messages. I want to give a big thumbs up to another organization. You remember Her Majesty when she was here. A wonderful monarch of high standing. Okay, I want you to remember the important Omowa event that's coming up later this month. Let me just play the advert because I believe it's an important one. The promotion for that event, a cultural event, an important event. You do not have to be in order to attend. You simply need to appreciate Africa's rich cultural heritage. That's all you need to do. And go along and absorb, assimilate yourself into the beauty of this wonderful culture.
I go to my Ga folks living across the UK. We say Afi. The Gadangba UK and Ireland community and the Ga Traditional Council invite you to join His Royal Majesty King Taki Tekochu II, the Ga Manche, Paramount Chiefs, Queen Mothers, and the traditional leaders to celebrate the Grand Homowa UK Festival 2024 on the 26th of October 2024. Time is 2 p.m. It will be a very colorful event. There will be lots to eat and drink, and of course, plenty of kwekule. It will also be a time of bonding and sharing and social networking. You can't miss out in the Grand Homowa UK Festival 2024. For ticket reservations, just log on to our website at www.grandhomowauk.com. For more details and enquiries, you can call 075 102 58785 or 077 862 35538. It's going to be a day of bliss and glam. Afi cha. Oh mania blau. Yow.
I commend that event to you. I will be there. If you want to see the motivator live and direct, I will be at that event. Oh, Her Majesty would not allow me otherwise. a magnificent human being. I commend that event to you as a truly important cultural undertaking. Well done to all those involved. But I now want to move on to the lifestyle messages, other messages that will come after my featured interview. But right now, I want to get on to the lifestyle messages. These lifestyle messages become a regular part of the Motivator Show. Why? Because some of you will be aware, I'm an elected official, so I see the official figures. Even if I didn't want to see them, they are presented to me as a matter of information. Yeah, it's a matter of course. We're told, we're ensured that we understand the elected officials are familiar with the public health figures as they pertain to the electorate locally. For our community, particularly those of African and indeed Asian descent, the figures make often for uncomfortable reading. And there's a lot of, he says, own goals being scored here. Yeah, changes to our lifestyle is critical if we want to reduce the levels of illnesses and early death within the community. It is critical, therefore, that you hear these messages. I gain no financial reward. Yeah, there is no financial benefit to me, but there is incredible amount of pleasure to observe and see, particularly those who watch these podcasts respond positively to these messages and transform their lives from a health, spiritual, and mental health point of view. Yeah, it is a beautiful, beautiful experience. Each time I observe someone who's responded, heard the messages, and have been courageous enough to make necessary changes so they can reduce their levels of illnesses. Yeah, they can broaden their sense of health and well-being, and they're able to lift up themselves and honor themselves as human beings. I commend to you these lifestyle messages. Please listen carefully. The Motivator Show. Success is ours for the taking. Lifestyle messages. We ask that you consider the amount of sugar and salt consumed each day. There is a direct causal link between the overconsumption of sugar and type 2 diabetes, prevalent particularly in the African heritage communities. It is estimated that more than 2 in 4 have either a diagnosed condition of diabetes or an undiagnosed condition of diabetes. Here in Britain, the NHS spends more than £26 billion treating people with diabetes, which is a condition for life. Too much salt in our diet disrupts the natural sodium balance in the body. This causes fluid retention, which increases the blood pressure exerted by the blood against the blood vessel walls, or high blood pressure. The potential impact of too much salt can include enlarged heart muscles, headaches, heart failure, high blood pressure, kidney disease, kidney stones, osteoporosis, stomach cancer, and strokes. Another lifetime condition. We ask that you consider the amount of carbohydrate consumed each day. Typically derived from wheat-based produce such as pasta and other related wheat-based products, and of course, root vegetables such as potatoes and the yam. And yes, I did say yams. Excess carbohydrates intake places a large metabolic load on the body. When the body constantly has high levels of blood sugars to deal with over time, this leads to weight gain, poor metabolic health, and an increased risk of heart disease. We ask you to consider the amount of fat that you consume each day. On the screen, you can see raw meat. Clearly, the red meat is meat, but the white streaks you see in the meat is fat. Our bodies need healthy fat for energy and other functions, but too much saturated fat can cause cholesterol to build up in your arteries, in other words, our blood vessels. Saturated fats raise your LDL or bad cholesterol levels. This can increase your risk of heart disease and neurological strokes. Too much fat is linked to increased risk of obesity or fatness, coronary heart disease, and certain types of cancers, such as breast and colon cancers. On the screen, you see a partially blocked arteries, mainly made up of fatty acids and other ingredients mentioned previously. The blood is being forced through the partial blockage by the heart. Another consequence is, of course, increased hypertension or high blood pressure. Examples of starchy foods include potatoes, bread, pasta, cereals, and rice. Excessive consumption of starch, scientific studies have shown, may cause insulin resistance, in other words, diabetes, may cause skin irritation, many of us will recognize as eczema, may cause gastrointestinal irritation. Many of us will recognize these conditions. On the screen, you can see the examples of the consequences of our lifestyle. Excessive consumption of sugar and salt, carbohydrates, and fat and starch. You see the young lady and gentleman with the bloated shoulders, bloated chest, bloated abdomens, bloated thighs, and bloated bottoms, or buttocks in polite company, the consequence of our lifestyle. The prevalence of obesity amongst black women in the United Kingdom is significantly higher compared to the general population. Approximately 58% of black women in Britain are classified as obese. This rate is considerably higher than the average obesity rate for women across all ethnicities in the UK, which currently stand at between 30 to 32%. This is a public health emergency. The prevalence of obesity amongst black men in Britain is also notably high. Approximately 38% of black men in the UK are classified as obese. This rate is higher than the average obesity rate for men across all ethnicities in the UK, which is around 27 to 29%. This is a public health emergency. The experts recommend that we should eat fresh, untainted foods, including tomatoes and oranges, melons and beetroot, noriega and avocados, grapes and apples, lemons and cabbages, lettuce and cherries, bananas and cucumber, and pears and onions, sweet corn and pineapples, carrots and cauliflower, garlic and sweet pepper, lemons and many other fruits and vegetables, which are untainted and are good for you. The experts recommend that we should ensure that we consume between 2 to 3 litres of water per day. It does depend upon your height and your mass. You see on the screen a young man drinking his water, the young lady enjoying her water. The advice given to you about our lifestyle will not mean anything to you unless you exercise. To exercise for life. You see the young lady with her weights, pumping her weights. You see the mature gentleman running with his headphones in with a smile on his face. You see a young lady running up and down those stairs. Oh yeah, that is real exercise. You see the young man pushing up and down with his push-ups. This is exercise. Our bodies need exercise. It is important for us always to consider our mental and spiritual health. If you have concerns about your mental health, please seek out professional advice or speak out to those you most trust. I trust that they will seek out the right advice and support for you. And of course, as human beings, we are truly spiritual entities. It is important to speak to your spiritual advisors. The Motivators Show. Success is ours for the taking. And I know you would agree with that last statement. Success is ours, yours, in other words, for the taking. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, important messages, I hope you'll agree. What I'm heartened by is the numbers of you who've had this resounding impact upon your families, your friends, your networks, and understanding these are crucial messages that go to the very heart of all communities. Yeah, if we don't take care of your health, you're undermining your true wealth, which is, of course, your health. And what I'm heartened by is to come across people who've heard the messages and responded positively. One group of people who are local to where I am here in London. They call themselves the Countdown Organisation. They're an example of what, if I may say so, I expect to see people from different ethnicities, different social classes, different income levels, different religious backgrounds, coming together in common aim and common purpose, understanding that their wealth is truly their health. That is where your true wealth resides, yeah? Coming together in common aim and common purpose. They produce this wonderful video. I'm going to play this video for you because you could do the same in your location, in your area, in your villages, in your towns, in your cities. Do the same. Come together in common aim and common purpose. Take care of your health. Exercise together. Communal exercise, I recommend, is the way forward. There are often others who simply want to do it by themselves. That's fine. But the majority of people recognize coming together in common aim and common purpose, working together to promote their health is a positive step forward. Here we go. I'm going to play their video. Here we go.
Cheese. Famous. Hello, 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 hello. Get one life only. Why we not go use am gladdy and enjoy the time? Palava no dey finish. Time me no dey wait nobody. Now why I dey try for always get am nice every day and night? This one way we all fend we safe, not nobody own. You want to eat what you want without don't you believe now you young. And the balance where you go die left now all the money young. That fine la power you like na for buy am. Entire mo. And if you baby love you back love am. Love am. But if you love them all now, you not for left am. Want them more. Cause nobody know waiting tomorrow old. So every day of my life till old, I fasting enjoyment stay go. Now for land for care for yourself. Nobody love you pass yourself. All man they fed for himself. Oh. Now why I know they allowed with you other man they can't take me peace away. Away, me joy away. Away, me smile away. Away, oh no, no make the body take you peace away. Away, me joy away. Away, me smile away. Away, oh no, oh, every day. I see they also they work for the pay. They like Laboku on a small you the cage. Land for the loose body 110. No to money, no to gentry. No money make no time man. As long as you get waiting, you they eat. Land for the loose body 110. This one way we all feel we safe. Now nobody young. You want to eat what you want, we go down to belly now you young. And the balance where you go die left now all the money young. So why for the greedy you say for? If you motor car where you let buy em. If you see finance where you collect deal em, oh. You meet top woman where you let yanam. And if you let the man na for keep em. Want them oh. The food where you feel for eat na for eat em. That fine la power you let na for buy em. Entire more. And if you baby love you back love em. But if you love them all now, you not for left em. Want them more. Cause nobody know waiting tomorrow old. So every day of my life till old, I fasting enjoyment stay go. Now for land for care for yourself. Nobody love you pass yourself. All man they fed for yourself. Oh. Now why I know they allowed with you other man they can't take me peace away. Me joy away, me smile away, oh no make the body take you peace away, me joy away, me smile away, oh no,
Absolutely outstanding. Absolutely outstanding. Oh, absolutely outstanding. You've got to compliment them. They understand coming together, common aim and common purpose has mutual benefits, you know? You encourage each other when you do it together, you know? You can see the other person struggling as much as you are. But you keep going on and on. You exercise, realizing there's a higher purpose to this. And with time, you develop the skills, the ability to exercise with the fluency that others have gained over time. Keep it up, keep it up, keep it up, keep it up. Okay, well done, Countdown. And on the next transmission, they've got a new location, which I'll promote next transmission. So watch this space. Before I go to the main theme of today's show, I want to give a really important thumbs up, and many of you will understand. Those of you who watched my show last Saturday will recall that we focus on the Southwark Maternity Commission. It was an important commission led by local councillors, particularly those from the African Caribbean communities, concerned about the levels of maternity deaths, or indeed morbidity, which is of course near-death experiences, concerned about the quality of maternity services. And the Commission produced a report, and we were able, at the last transmission, to have the two co-chairs present, Professor Donna Kinnear, and of course, the remarkable Councillor Evelyn Okoto, yeah, the founder and co-chair. It was a remarkable interview, and many of you who want to understand this issue better, I can only encourage you to go to the YouTube channel here, okay, and watch that recording. I'm assuring you, you'll find it to be a truly inspirational experience. And I want to give a big thumbs up to both Councillor Okoto and Professor Donna Kinnair for their honesty, for their frankness, for their, right. They were, they didn't hold back. They simply told the truth. They simply told the truth. And I've got to say to you all, they have my unreserved respect. I say again, they have my unreserved respect. And long may their work continue. Long may their work continue. And if there's any doubt of any of your mind about why it's important for all communities to be in public life, I believe the show last Saturday was an example of why ordinary people who care, with compassion, should get involved in politics, should get involved in public life and be a part of that change. In other words, by virtue of your very presence and your conviction on the subject which are important to you, you become a change maker. Yeah. Enough of this idle talk, huh? I think you would agree. We all need to become change makers. So the world that we bequeath to our children, and indeed to our grandchildren, is better than what we found it when we enter this world. I commend the Southwark Maternity Commission to you. Put it in your search engine. Look at the report. The report is an important read. And you may be able to use that report if you're in the UK, in Britain, in your area of Britain. If you're overseas, it provides useful reference points that you might use in your own locations. I commend the Southwark Maternity Commission's report. Oh yeah, and we will have them back again, because clearly there's much to say at that particular interview, and I will open the phone lines so you can share your personal testimonies and indeed your ideas to improve maternity services here in Britain. A very, very important occasion. I want to thank them both for their work. Outstanding piece of work. Outstanding. Absolutely outstanding. All righty. Now, if you want to contact the studio, I've not mentioned it already, we are, of course, live via YouTube and Facebook, and both platforms possess messaging facilities, okay? So if you want to send a message to us anytime, please send a message. I welcome all messages, okay? And of course, your messages, if they're appropriate, I might read them out. If there are questions for my guest, because today's show will focus on the looming, rapidly approaching American presidential elections. Always, when you have an American presidential elections, it's important not only for Americans, but for the world, as they are, of course, the largest ministry and indeed largest economy in the world. They have significant, profound influence over world affairs. So what happens in America matters. What happens in America matters. So we've got to pay attention to what happens. Unless there's a very large, America, of course, I should put it this way. America was formed and created by immigrants from Europe, absolutely. From Asia, absolutely. And indeed, from Africa, forced or otherwise, from Africa as well. And therefore, what happens in America matters. It does matter. So I just say this to you. It's important, therefore, to note and observe the candidates who may hold the position of President of the United States of America. Okay? And it's important. It's important, therefore, we pay attention. But this time, and we've had a few firsts from America previously with Barack Obama, we have another first. It is probable, he says, that Americans will elect a woman. What is more fascinating for American politics, that you may well elect a woman of African and Asian descent. Yeah, Kamala Harris, the Democratic Party's nominee. Yeah. So it will be an important one, because if she is successful, if she is successfully elected, it will be a first. It will be a first. So what I'm going to do for today's show is invite members of, particularly those who possess the title of Pan-Africanist communities, okay, who have a particular interest in American politics, okay? Because America traditionally is a big influence in Africa, okay? We're not always sure about the quality of that influence in Africa, okay? Because arguably the Chinese are showing how the relationship between African countries and a world power should take place. Nevertheless, America remains a powerful influence in United States of America. Now, I believe we've got our guest who's come into the show, and let's see, the first Pan-Africanist guest I might have. He was present there a moment ago, but he's could we come? Oh, there you are. He's come back. Here we are. He's come back. I'm sure he can hear us. Good. I'm sure he can. He's smiling. There you are. We want to have a discussion about the American election. We've got two candidates, a candidate for the Republican Party, a previous president. We will discuss the performance of that previous president, Trump, okay? I simply note, he says, and I hit my head, that when Trump was elected, the members of the alt-right, or indeed the Ku Klux Klan, were very happy, apparently. I wonder why. This time, of course, he's no different. And we'll discuss that shortly. But we're also going to discuss the Democratic Party's nominee for president, Kamala Harris. And in my intro video, you would note that I record her public life history, her history, and her elevation to the post of a Democratic Party nominee for President of the United States of America. Now, I know my guest is just setting himself up, ensuring that he's correctly positioned on screen. He's now going to get himself back on screen now. I think we're now ready for my guest. And let's start this interview, I think. Where is my guest? Let's get him back on the screen. There we go. Let's get him back on the screen. He just had some water. He's lubricated his mouth, yeah? And he's ready to speak. I'm going to unmute him because he's currently muted. I note he's currently muted. I'm going to unmute him if I can. Oh, he'll need to unmute himself. Okay, good. And the Neville is not. Oh, there you are. He's now unmuted. And that's it. Perfect. Perfect. Good morning, sir. Comrade.
Greetings.
Can you hear us all right?
Greetings, my brother. Greetings.
Greetings to you. How are you?
I greet you in
morning?
I greet you in the honorable spirit of our great and mighty African ancestors, my brother. And I greet your audience and all the listeners to your show. Yes, sir. And I'm doing well. Thank you. And how about you, sir? How about you?
Yes, introduce
Can you hear me?
Yes,
yes.
I can. Yes.
Yes. I just want to say I hope to give you some great, honest discussion, a robust analysis of the situation in America and with African people in general, globally.
And just for the record here, as part of my intro, I specifically said we're particularly keen to hear from members of the Pan-Africanist communities, those who believe in a united Africa, the peoples of Africa coming together to make and create the true African line economies, leading edge economies, where there's equalities for all, and we respect our cultures and tradition. That would be right, wouldn't it?
Yes, sir.
And furthermore, that doesn't simply concern itself with simply Africa, but most certainly includes the Caribbean and, of course, South America and the Americas. Am I right?
Yes, as a Pan-Africanist, we exactly that. Pan mean all African. All African, Pan mean all, and Africa mean Africans. So we are Pan-Africanists and we embrace all people who self-identify as African people. And Joe, those that we know that are biologically, genetically African, we also embrace them as well. Because there are many amongst us who are African who deny their Africanness.
And we recognize that, and it's part of the sad legacy of the chattel enslavement of our ancestors and being cut off from your source for not one generation or two generations, but 10, 15, 20 generations. And being cut off from your source and therefore losing your identity. Yeah, we get that. But we are on the path of renewal. Reparations begins with self. So what I want to do, my brother, is really now take us on this path. I want to look at the American presidential elections and what it means, particularly for African peoples in America, the Americas, and of course Africa in here in Europe, what it means for them. Okay. And I want to begin, first of all, by contextualizing some of this. In my intro, I noted, of course, that there are two main candidates. America remains essentially a two-party state. There are smaller parties or independents, but essentially remains a two-party state. Okay. And I wonder, first of all, let's begin. When you look at the Republican Party in the United States and the Democratic Party in the United States, do you see two separate parties, or do you see parties that are broadly the same? Let's get some context. Let's get this conversation rolling. Go ahead.
I think for me, as a Pan-Africanist, I have to start my analysis of America with the founding of America. The whole America, what we see today, was founded as a Euro-America criminal enterprise. It was set up in a manifest destiny. It was set up through genocide, mass enslavement of our people. So it is from this perspective that we start the analysis. Now, the Republican Party and the Democratic Party go way back in the history of America. And if many people know about the Whigs and the Tories and a lot of those parties that founded America, particularly the Democratic Party, who was instrumental in a lot of the white supremacist policies of America, the agenda of America, and and then later on, the Democrats switched sides with the Republicans, and the Republicans switched sides with the Democrats. So lots of the racists, them that who founded the Democratic Party, they abandoned the Democratic Party and joined the Republican Party.
Indeed.
So, and the Republican Party started out with a somewhat progressive nature, but they both was about preserving the criminal enterprise of America. Make no mistakes about that. The status quo, the inequality, the oppression, the exploitation was maintained by both parties. However, those who were the most racist, the most vile, the most disgusting were primarily in the Democratic Party in the early days. However, they switched side, and now what is represented as the most vile, the most conservative, the most backward reactionary element in America is being maintained through the Republican Party. And as a result, African people in America have found a better inroad in the Democratic Party, where they feel that they can pitch a tent there and get some progress and get some benefits somehow. And we will go into those type of thinking and into those type of ideas as we go on in this interview.
Thank you, thank you. Thank you for that context. It is, and you're quite right, of course. It is an interesting one that the party of Lincoln, the Republican Party, has now gone so far to the right, since, of course, the their past president and current nominee has clearly strong right-wing, I'm going to say it, they say extreme right-wing or conservative values. I would say neo-fascist values for all intents and purposes. Again, would that be your analysis as well?
Yeah, I mean, they definitely have a fascist tendency. I mean, to me, imperialism by its very nature is fascist, because what they have done, they have normalized extremism to a point where we think it's normal. But this is not normal. This is not how people should be living. This is not how society and system should be set up. But because they've been able to maintain this normalcy by just sharing us a little crumbs off the table, because they have amassed great wealth and great power. So now they can maintain this power by sprinkling a little crumbs off the table of what they have gathered in the last 500 years. There's a tremendous amount of wealth and power that they have gathered. They've been able to maintain a social system with less than 5% of the wealth in America. Because right now, I think about 95% of the people are surviving on the 5% of the wealth.
Yes, yes, it is.
So that's how they're able to get away with it. They can normalize these things, and people think it is completely normal. And then we can go into the details of fascism, the intricacy of fascism, which is a police state. I mean, I think no one can doubt how the whole society is militarized in America, and how many institutions of law enforcement, how many um, uh, instruments that they have set, agencies that they have set up across the society to monitor people, to extract people, to to monitor almost every aspect of your life, that they can get you for almost anything. I think that is a fascist state. And if you have that kind of apparatus in the hands of somebody like Donald Trump, you got a recipe for disaster there, my friend.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's an important observation. I know many Americans are often using the term freedom. We are free. Yeah.
Right.
We're not laughing at Americans like that. We're not laughing at
It's a facade. It's a facade of freedom, because what happened is that the working class has become accomplished. They've become collaborators with the ruling class against their own interests. So they allow these people to get away with this stuff, and now and then to think that this is what you call freedom, to allow a handful of people to become multi-billionaires in the face of
Sorry, my
millions.
brother. Trillionaires. They are
Yes,
multi-trillionaires.
trillionaires. And now we have the vast majority of the people, living just surviving, because what we don't see is that a lot of people have nice clothes on, they're driving nice cars, and they may live in a decent home, but it's all a facade. It's very thin. I think that the last statistic I've seen that over 80% of the population is living from paycheck to paycheck. I mean, if they miss one paycheck, they're in poverty. And it's a thin ice. It's a veil. Because the idea of credit keep a lot of people floating. So they put up with it.
Well said. And it is relatively easy for us from the outside looking in, but of course the
Right.
situation here in Britain is not vastly different. You know,
No, it's similar
85%
dynamics.
of population living from paycheck to paycheck with minimal savings, extremely vulnerable. This is true, and it is a failing of the system because the values that are embedded in the system is where if you don't have it, you can't get those basic services. Which is why, of course, I'm really proud that the British Labour Party here instituted social policies that provided some means to, balance up the matters. Healthcare that is free at the point of use. Yep, you pay for it through your taxes. Education free at the point of use. You pay for it through your taxes. Yeah, you have a police force that you have some democratic control over, and I can continue to list those important leveling mechanism designed to ensure ordinary people are not impoverished. In this case, in America, with their insurance system, wow, it's possible to go bankrupt. Which is why Obamacare, the Affordable Care Act, was such an important milestone in their history. But I don't want to drift too far. I want to now go back to the candidates, if I may. It's
Yes, sir.
important. And I just want to spend a few more minutes on I call the other guy. I'm not going to call the name. I don't want to empower it, okay? For reasons we all will understand, okay? I'm just going to call him the other guy, okay? The other guy, of course, is what in British terms would be considered to be the landed gentry, yeah? He was born into money, as it were, okay? And with that, there was a set of attitudes that came with that mentality that I've got it already. I don't need to work per se, and I've got enormous resources in the bank, okay? Because that's inherited money from my family. What do you believe, my brother, being a Pan-Africanist, what does that do to the human psyche when you have so much that you don't need to have compassion for others? What do you think it does to that psyche of someone?
No, I'm not a professional psychologist. I just want to let that be known. But I am a human being, and I know what decency is. And I know when somebody is a decent human being. I can generally tell if somebody's a decent, whether I disagree with them or not, whether I like them or not, I can tell, that's a decent person, that's a disgusting person, generally. Now, as far as I would not equate having wealth with being a disgusting character or vile character or even a racist. But I would say in this specific situation here, we have somebody who we see rose in America as a backlash to the Obama presidency, who came with this racial nationalistic campaign,
Yes.
who was able to rile up white people in America, to get them riled up into this anti-African, anti-black, pro-white sentiment.
Anti-immigrant. Any immigrant who is not white.
Yes, and yes, anti-immigrant as well. It fed into that racist perspective. Sorry, they're all against us type of thing. So he stroked that nationalistic sentiment in the people and riled them up. So his presidency represents that underbelly of America that maybe a lot of people outside of America are not familiar with. But there is an underbelly of nastiness, a very narcissistic, a very vile, very aggressive, very arrogancy that lives under the tone, right under the surface in American society. And he was able to stir that up, stir up and that became his base, that type of sentiment. That I mean, I don't know if you understand what I'm trying to say. When you can go somewhere, you can step on somebody's toe, and you could have an accident with a car, and when the person express themselves, you hear a vileness, an aggression there, not trying to reason things out, not trying to let's work it out. They're just automatic aggression, automatic rejection there. And he strokes that. Now, a lot of people may not see that. The only time you're most likely to see that is when you encounter with the police. You see the recording police on TV, and you see how the police then behave when they encounter with black people. That similar mentality exists in many white people in America that do what I tell you, move, and it's very aggressive. You know what I'm saying? So he's able to tap into that and use that to rise to power in America. And from everything I've seen, from every interview I've seen of this person, he have always expressed this vileness. He always go for the most negative, the most vitriol type of thinking. And certainly, if anyone was in doubt, the statement that was made during the debate about the people on Springfield and about our Haitian brothers and sisters eating their neighbors' pets and the cats and the dogs. That was a vile, racist. I mean, I don't know how anybody can justify that kind of racist attack on our people. However, we still have black people in America and on TV all around the place defending this type of vile, racist outburst of this man. Just on a human level, this character should not even be considered to be run even a neighborhood club, much less to run an organization of the power of the United States of America. You know what I'm saying? So I just yes,
Okay, it is well. I think we spent enough time on the
yes,
other side. Okay, I think that's enough.
yes,
That's enough.
yes.
Let's now focus on our sister, Kamala Harris.
Mhm,
She has both Jamaican father and an Indian mother. Okay, what a
mhm,
combination! What a combination! Yeah, what a combination!
mhm,
And her political or public life as an attorney general in law, she is a quite
mhm,
remarkable path. She's had a very tough time, very tough time. Okay? She has gone up against the worst of the worst in United States of America and succeeded, and that's clearly
mhm,
shaped. That has clearly shaped her
mhm,
view of America, of the people of America. Okay, and indeed
mhm,
has equipped her,
mhm,
adequately equipped her to
mhm,
take on what essentially is a crook, a convicted
mhm,
felon.
mhm,
Okay? But there are policies, and I want to focus on her policies that
mhm,
Kamala Harris wishes to promote. Okay, and we want to see from a Pan-Africanist point of view whether or not those policies that she espouses are those that we would want to give support to. And this, I may open the line up later on for others in the Pan-Africanist community to speak directly to the motivator. But I want to start on this point first of all. I note, and those of you are so minded, if you go to Kamala Harris' website, okay, and you go to the list of values and what she tends to do, what I was struck by is that she recognizes that the efforts by my namesake, Martin Luther King, and the civil rights movement, okay, that effort is ongoing. Okay,
mhm,
and what she says in her statement is that using the federal government, she would establish human rights, civil rights officers in every city across America in order to protect the rights of peoples in their locations. From a Pan Africanist point of view, would you support such a policy, such a strategy? Over to you.
Um, right now, that is definitely needed. Like as we spoke and we mentioned about what would the Pan Africanists expect from a Kamala Harris presidency.
Yes.
Now, you know, there is two sets of issues facing African people, um, particularly in America, and we're going to just try to analyze it from the American context.
Mhm.
There is social, economic, and political issues that is traditional in America. That there is a space in which traditionally African people in America um, have kept the discourse, kept the agenda, kept the issues. And in these issues are more of a traditional type of political issues. Like, for instance, law enforcement is a big issue amongst African people, employment, medical care, um, certain social rights, voting rights,
Yes.
along those lines. That's a one set of issues. And obviously, the policing, the control of the police force, the oversight of policing, all of those things play a role. I mean, are very important
Mhm.
on the agenda of black people in America. That they want to see a better control of the police, more restraint by police to, excuse me, police to consider African people to be human beings. Because a lot of time there's a perception that we are not humans, that we have a high tolerance of pain, and then somehow we can be treated differently, more aggressively than how they would treat a white counterpart. So there's always a campaign to try to retrain the police, resensitize the police, reorientate the police forces across America, all the police agencies across America, all the sheriff departments, all the police. There is a need across the board to get these police forces under control. Because if you look at how they was created, the police forces
I
of
don't mean to
America.
interrupt you. I don't want to interrupt you unduly. So my question, of course, is of course the question of these civil rights officers funded through federal governments in order to observe and to voice concerns about the behaviour of public officials, whether it be the
Right.
police, the health, and so on. So I'm going to take it from what you described that yes, you support that as a initial initiative. Okay. If I may, then I
Yeah.
want to take you further before you go into the police and the details of that. I'm definitely going to get there. Don't you worry. I just want to take you on the path. We want to set the scene, as it were, because what I believe she's attempting to do here is to put in place infrastructure so those who are suffering at the hands of those in power and are abusing the power as a mechanism to counter that abuse of power. Okay, so I think we're on the same page in relation to the civil rights officers across all towns and cities across the United States. Am I right? Yeah?
Yeah, those things will definitely be welcome. I mean, they'll be needed in the African community, and I'm sure Black people in America are calling for those type of things that will help. But that's one set of issues, and then there's another set which we in the Pan African movement is calling for, which is the whole issue of reparation. So if you want to really heal and solve the problem of facing African people, you have to go to the core of it and repair the damage that was done to those people. Now, one of those damage is the police forces, and you have to have a way of keeping them in check, monitoring them, using a body cam is also now advocating for, so we can see how they're conducting themselves on every single arrest.
Okay.
And
Okay.
it is that's another policy of the black community
Beg your
is that
pardon.
every
There's a
police
lot packed
officer
in there.
must be have body cam.
Okay, but there's a lot packed in there. I did want to just take this in bite-sized chunks so the audience can take it on board. So the issue of
Right,
reparations is
mhm,
critical, of course. This is
right,
this repair of the damage caused. Okay, but
right.
in the United States, I believe there is a bill or a charge. I think it's called Article 44, 41, I think it is, which is where they
HR
are.
40.
Thank you. Where they're going to initiate the research to understand
Mhm.
the level of impact. Okay. Would you support, And would you wish in join with me to encourage, if she is president, a future President Harris, to get herself behind that initiative, so the research can be conducted? Would you support that?
Yes, and I did see an interview with her where she straight out said, yes, if we come to her desk, she would sign it. Um, the reality is that if you look at even the Republican, the MAGA, the conservative, them in America, they don't even want to study the issue. They don't even want the facts and the reality of what happened to come out. I mean, just the bill is not even asking for it's just asking to study. Is reparation needed in America? Have African people in America been damaged by enslavement, by colonization, by domestic colonization, by redlining, by Jim Crow, by all those policies that have denied African people citizenship, denied African people ownership in America? So not even that they want to entertain. And I did see that Kamala said she would sign such a bill, but we have to go further
That's
and
right.
repair the
Okay.
people of America.
So really, let's follow suit. I did want to just take us on that journey. Just take us on that journey, because of course, I'm aware, and I'm sure you are. Both the Reparations Commission in the Caribbean have undertaken research to understand the impact of the illegal chattel enslavement of our ancestors, and equally, I'm aware of a report that was led by the American Society for International Law and the Universities of West Indies. They commissioned the Brattle Consultancy to again do
Mhm,
research into first of all, the legality of the chattel
mhm,
enslavement of our ancestors. And then they followed
mhm,
up, that was in 2021, and in 2023, a further report on the liabilities of nation states for the chattel enslavement of our ancestors, called the Brattle Report. And I commend the Brattle Report to those of you who are unfamiliar with the research that has been taken place thus far. It was led by a Jamaican judge from the International Court of Justice, Judge Patrick Robinson. I would encourage those of you who are interested to read those two reports. And the first report established that, in fact, the type of enslavement that our ancestors suffered, the chattel enslavement, where you had absolutely no right, no ability for redemption, okay, was illegal at the time. Going back, of course, to the 14th, 15th, 16th, 17th, 18th century, was illegal at the time. And the subsequent report, and now that we understand it was illegal, they started the process of assessing liability, and that liability of the nation state. And here we are in Britain. It is estimated for the Caribbean, Britain owes more than 20 trillion pounds in today's money. Other countries owe similar or more. It's astonishing figures, but if you adjust for the hundreds of years of lack of income, lack of dignity, lack of health, and death, and so on, it runs into trillions, because we are discussing the lives of hundreds of millions of people that have been affected. The American experience, I'm sure, once they conduct the research, will, I'm confident, arrive at the figures in the many trillions. So we're now clear about that. We want to encourage a future Kamala Harris to pursue that policy. Okay, can I now just go to the issue and how she wishes to tackle the issue of policing and accountability? Okay, first of all, you've started to describe policing, but what do you understand from her that she wishes to achieve in respect of policing? Note, of course, she was a prosecutor, so she, this is not an
mhm,
unfamiliar field to her. What do you understand
mhm,
to be her position, or indeed, in fact, why don't we do this the other way around? What would be the Pan-Africanist position in relation to policing in the United States of America? And then we address the issue of Kamala Harris. Go ahead.
yes. Well, thank you for that. Well, as a Pan-Africanist, we believe strongly in self-determination.
Mm.
We feel that our communities should be self-governed. We should run our own community. African societies and communities where we are in the majority, we should be in political, economic, and also legal control of our own communities. That means the policing in our community should be done by our own people. And I definitely support any effort to get the police forces of America under control because they've been out of control for far too long. And as I said, the police force in America was founded on capturing runaway Africans who ran away from the concentration camps called the plantations across America. Whenever we tried to escape from our enslavement, these militias was founded to track down and hunt down and brutalize and capture and exterminate when they can capture, when you refuse to surrender. And that's how that attitude still remain in many of these people, that culture of hunting down Africans and treating Africans less than human beings
Mhm.
still exists within the culture, the ethos of the police forces in America. The
Yes.
training that they're getting. They used to use black people pictures and images on their shooting range in their training. You know what I'm saying? That's how bad it was and is in still is in America when it comes to policing. So anything that can control and curtail the killing of black people in America, we welcome that. However, I must say this:
Okay.
as a Pan-Africanist, I don't see the solution to African problem coming from the Democrat or the Republican Party in America.
All
I
right.
don't see them as a savior of African people, and I don't want to give that impression. But we welcome any policy that can make our children live in peace, that we can get better education for our children, that we can get better medical care for our elders and our people. We have to welcome those type of things.
Very good. Very good. Just for the audience, I'm not taking calls just yet. I need to get through this interview first of all, then I may take calls at the end. Can I now move, if I may, Brother Delani, to the issue what a future President Harris will do for families? Okay. Now, I've read, and it is quoted in my intro video, that what she was seek to do is to ensure that working families, middle class families, okay, um, uh, in terms of the overall tax burden, it is reduced. So what you would seek to do is that they would seek to expand child tax credit to provide 6,000 tax cut for families with newborn children. Okay. I think we would agree with that one. Yep, we would agree with that particular strategy.
Yes, yes, those policies, like I said, anything to help alleviate the burden, the financial burden of people. And those are what we call good civic policy. And they're not just for black people, they're just for all people in America. You know
Absolutely.
what I'm saying? So that
Absolutely.
those are just the right thing to do as a
Absolutely.
society. You know what I'm saying? But because of our extreme, the inequality have been and how extremely has been normalized, these seem like radical policies to many people. But to us, as Pan Africanists, those are standard that should be in every
Civilized.
society.
Civilized, yes, absolutely. That's why I started with the civil rights officers in every town, every city
Hmm.
across America, because you then can monitor
Hmm.
and ensure that the equality of
Hmm.
opportunities, yeah, are granted. Okay, and that's why this is an
Hmm.
important one. Can I go on to other policies in terms of
Hmm.
ensuring that America is better off overall? What she's also seek to do, as indeed the Labour government here in Britain now seeks to do, is to readdress the imbalance between those who work, and in UK terms, PAYE, and therefore you pay your taxes through your salaries, versus those who do not work and are living off the wealth created by their families on the annuity, as it were. Okay. Now, those who work pay far more than those who do not work but live off the assets of their families. Okay. The disparity is up to, in some cases, 30% or more. enormous percentage differences. In other words, the wealthiest pay the least here in Britain. Indeed, in the United States of America, the wealthiest pay the least when compared to the average tax paid by working people. I think we could agree that changes to the tax rules, to the tax regime that favor ordinary Americans would most certainly benefit African Americans. Yeah, we would give support to such a policy. Agreed?
Yeah. Again, the Pan-African perspective is
Go ahead.
that there should not be any billionaires in any society as long as there's poverty. As
Indeed.
long as people are living in poverty, as long as there's homelessness, as long as there is lack of medical care, a lack of quality education for all people, there should not be any billionaires. That resources and that money should be used to alleviate the condition of the people, to provide the needs of all the people in society. So that is where it's a non-starter. And there's a cap on these multi-millionaires as well. Because, I mean, after you get 10, 15 million, I mean, what more can you want to achieve? I mean, what more you want?
Yeah.
And you got millions of people that are suffering every day. So the
You know, my brother,
the
if I may,
the normalization of this type of acceptance of this type of reality it's beyond me. I don't know how we have come to this state of consciousness where we can actually be here talking about millionaires and billionaires as normal in a society where we got poverty.
very
That should
good.
not
So
happen.
I want to come to
And
you,
and the only way to really check
before you
these
come back,
millions and billionaires is through the taxation system.
before you come back, I've just got to read a little piece from her notes that I've gathered as part of
Mhm.
my research for this show. And what she says is this. Unlike Donald Trump, Vice President Harris and Governor Walz are committed to ensuring no one earning less
Bravo.
than 400,000 a year will pay more in taxes. They believe that we need to start a new way forward by
Mhm.
both making our tax system fairer and prioritizing investment and innovation. They will ensure that the wealthiest Americans and the largest corporations pay their fair share. So we will take action to build up the middle class while reducing the deficit. And this includes rolling back old Trump's tax cuts for the wealthiest Americans, enacting a billionaire's minimum tax, quadrupling the tax on stocks and buyback, and other reforms to ensure that the very wealthy are paying by the same rules, or playing by the same rules as the middle class and those who are working class. That seems fair enough to me. So there's finally some readjustment to the tax burden being borne by the working and middle classes, which is disproportionately higher than those who are incredibly wealthy and are paying little or no tax. I think that's an important subject for us to tackle. Can I move on now to health? And I alluded to this in the beginning. Of course, Obamacare was President Obama's signature piece of legislation, because it meant tens of millions of Americans who had no insurance. Can you imagine? They had no insurance in the richest country in the world, could literally die in the streets because they couldn't afford health care. Can you imagine? So, yeah, can you imagine? So let us now move to Kamala Harris and healthcare plans. Okay, and what she says here. That's your children. Wonderful, wonderful. Don't worry. All is good. All is good. I love children. I love children. Now, what would you like her to do, first of all, from a Pan Africanist point of view? What would your ambitions be for a future Kamala Harris presidency in relation to healthcare? Such an important subject. I mention this every show. I mention some
Yes.
aspect of healthcare every show. It's so critical. What would a Pan
Mhm.
African perspective be on healthcare in America?
Well, I mean, let it be known as a Pan Africanist, there's no compromising on when it comes to medical care.
Mhm.
Medical care is a human right.
Mhm.
Education is a human right. That should be guaranteed in every society that the Pan-Africanists are in control. And for all, I mean, for humanity as a whole, I mean, education is needed by every children, every child.
Yes.
Medical care is needed by everybody because everybody is going to get sick at some stage of their life. So those are things that we know we can get accidents, people can slip and fall, people can get hurt. So we're always going to need medical care, and those should not be compromised. Those should be a human rights guarantee to all. Now,
Absolutely.
Counselor, we know
The motivator.
America have Mr. Motivator. We know America as a collective wealth of over 269 trillion
Yes.
dollars in value in total wealth in assets in America. And the net worth, when you take away the debt, is $123 trillion.
Yes.
Absolutely no excuse why every child in America don't get the highest quality education available and the highest quality medical care available to all its citizens. No excuse whatsoever. Now, because these inequalities have been normalized, people accept these inequalities as normal. Obamacare is revolutionary.
Mhm.
The kind of policies proposed by the Democrats and Kamala Harris to bring medical care to the masses of people are considered to be radical and is opposed by the ruling class in America and the insurance company because they look at medical care as commodities, as some type of profitable institutions
Mhm.
to make profit off of the illness and the medical condition of people.
Yeah.
You know, so
That's right. This is what
that is it's so unfortunate that this is how society has become normalized when these major pharmaceutical companies, these major corporations have taken over the whole medical care process. Where even science is influenced by this corporate greed, where they put profit over people.
agreed. And we are in total alignment. And I'm not in America. We're not in America, and we benefit here in Britain from the Labour government, a prior Labour government inspired act, and that is, of course, the National Health Service. And of course, the National Health Service for us
Mhm.
has ensured that we pay for healthcare through our taxes, okay? And therefore, regardless of your income level, we all benefit from good quality healthcare. But I realize in the United States they have a middle person, as it were, these insurance companies who take a profit from the federal government payments or from your premiums. They take a profit just to put you in touch with a doctor. I think it's a completely ridiculous system, but forgive me, Americans, I think it's a completely ridiculous system. But nevertheless, I'm going to read, if I may, Brother Delani, what Kamala Harris says on this subject. Vice President Harris will make affordable health care a right. So she's in alignment to what you've just said. It should be a right, a human right, not a privilege, by expanding and strengthening the Affordable Care Act. In other words, Obamacare. Making permanent the Biden-Harris tax cut enhancement that are lowering healthcare premiums by an average of about $800 a year for millions of Americans. So clearly, she recognizes from a Pan Africanist point of view that healthcare is a right, it's a human right. Okay. But she's working within the current system, so she's committed to reducing the premiums that Americans pay by $800 a year. That seems pretty significant to me. I think you would agree. That's pretty significant, isn't it?
Yes, yes. I mean, it is significant because of how we have normalized inequality. So these simple measures are seems to be quite radical. We should not even be discussing any type of
Agreed. Agreed.
co-payment or insurance. It should be a guaranteed. When you have $123 trillion in wealth sitting on the sidelines, sitting there, not being used for nothing, but preserving it wealth to pass on to the next generation for a handful of people. A handful of people are sitting on so much wealth that has been accumulated through enslavement, through exploitation, through genocide, through ill-gotten gains. It is mind-boggling that we have
It's
come to that
mind-boggling.
state where our education system has become an accomplice and a collaborator in maintaining this order.
Yeah.
Where
What we'll
we
do.
even look at these measures, even though we support these measures, because they will make things better for many of our people, and it will bring benefit to millions of people. It is a disgrace that we, at this stage in our history, talking about co-payment for medical care.
I'm going to come to that soon. Come to that. I just want to just continue the last part of what she says she will do. She says she'll build on the current administration, to which she's an integral part, being vice president, successes in bringing down the cost of life-saving prescription drugs for Medicare beneficiaries by extending the $35 cap on insulin and the $2,000 cap on out-of-pocket spending for senior citizens, senior Americans, in other words. Now, I've got to tell you, the idea that a government has to put a financial cap so that senior citizens are not financially out of pocket when as you get older, you become more vulnerable to sicknesses. Can you imagine? That means that those senior citizens still have to spend out their pocket $2,000. It seems like a lot to me for a person. As you get older, you're more than likely to have to spend money on healthcare. And those with diabetes, can you imagine? There was a time when we had to pay incredible amounts just to obtain insulin. She, in the current administration, and she will develop this further, is now seeking to she's now seeking to ensure it's no more than $35 for insulin. I think that is truly commendable.
Yes, and I
Now,
want to say to
yes,
that.
Brother Delani, I've got someone on the line. They've all been quite persistent. And it is getting closer. I will take this call. I believe we have a brother from America, quite possibly. I wonder if you can hear us all right, first of all, my brethren.
Yeah, I can hear you fine, Council Martin. How are you?
Can you hear him?
I can hear him. I can hear him.
Oh, good, good, good. Good.
Greetings, my brother, whoever it is. Greetings. You
Brother
can
Geb.
speak up, please. Oh,
Yeah,
brother Geb, rise
my
up.
brother.
Rise up, brother Geb.
Yeah. The reason why I'm calling is, Brother Martin, everything that you are talking about as it relates to Kamala Harris, right, and American politics, and what she promises that she will do, right? All of that sounds wonderful to the ignorance. But if you know that, what politics are designed to do in the United States, then we know that this is all tricks and politics. For example, the last piece that you just mentioned about what she will do in terms of making medication available, in particular to the elderly. But
Yes.
we know that the medication that they use kill African people. So it's almost as if we're acting ignorant, like we don't know what their systems do. So I'm a little bit confused.
Okay. Let me, I suppose, if I may, and I realize I've got a lot of feedback here, that's better. Um, I suppose, if I may, just take what you described this way. We have a person who could quite potentially be the President of the United States. Okay. You have a healthcare system which is very different to what we experience here in Britain. And there are issues with that healthcare system. The idea that someone could die in the street because they cannot afford it is clearly barbaric. Okay? The issue of whether or not the medicines are making us sicker, I'm not going to debate that because I'm not a clinician. I'm aware, though, that the medical field is worth tens of trillions of dollars worldwide. Okay? And clearly, the life expectancy of the average American has been extended over time because of available healthcare. Okay? Now, with that in mind, it suggests, therefore, that whilst medicine, pharmaceuticals are not perfect, they have contributed to extending the lives of people worldwide, and most certainly in the United States. But I don't want to get bogged down in that, if I may. I want to, and with Brother Delani here and others who are on the line, I really want to pin down from a Pan-Africanist point of view what would be our demands of a future Harris administration. Okay. So I'm going
Can
to
I?
invite you, before Brother Delani, you come back, I'm
Yeah,
going to
can I
invite you
chime
to
in
just
on
maybe
that discussion?
identify two issues that you would like this a future House administration to tackle. Over to you.
Okay. Just to touch on what
Just
Brother
brief,
Geb
by the
have
way.
said, and briefly, I would say that I believe that medical care should be a right.
Yes.
Okay, whatever form that takes, that's up to the society and the governance of the society and the standard that we set. We have to set the standard for the pharmaceutical. We have to set a standard for our own drug production and our own scientific community that we have in each country. Okay, and many of us on the outside are looking into pharmaceutical and we have our own opinion. Well, until you get into the laboratory and you do the test, you carry out the clinical trials and you go through the rigors to get your drugs approved, it cannot be used in the population. You have to have standards to weed out it. Now, I think it is criminal for the kind of prices that's been charged to sick people for these drugs when these drugs are costing like $5 or $10 to produce and he's selling for thousands of dollars. That is a criminal. That's a criminal to do that to the people there. And some of these drugs are saving people lives and keeping people alive. And that's not in dispute. The moment they stop taking the drugs, they're dead. And and without the drugs, they die. So we have to be real about that. We can have our own personal opinion until you can do the scientific studies, until you can go into the lab and you can do the clinical studies and you can show the efficacy of your drug. It cannot be used in the population. That goes without saying.
Right, but Delani, let me just hold you there for a moment, and I'm going to take what you describe as red. That all drugs, before they're released into the population, go through a efficacy process to ensure that they are suitable for human usage. So I'm not going to pursue that line for the moment. I see that I've got a number of people on the phone lines at the moment. I'm going to take first of all the I've got is it Naya, I believe. You can unmute
Brother
yourself.
Naya.
Yes, go ahead.
Y-
Do you have a question?
Yes, Mr. Motivator, Mahat Otep.
Yep,
Can you
go
hear
ahead.
me?
Hotep. Maha Hotep.
Indeed,
Can
Hotep
you
to
hear me?
you.
Mr.
We
Motivator,
can hear you. We can hear you.
We can hear you very well.
is Brother Delani, are you standing for a candidate? Are you standing for the parliament?
No. So do you have a question for my guest?
Yeah, Mr. Motivator, is Brother Delani standing for independent candidate?
No, do you have is that your question for my
No,
guest?
no, no. Oh, let me answer that. No, no, I'm not. I'm not, sir. I'm not a UK
Well, in
politician.
those
I'm not a
events,
politician.
I don't want to get bogged down. I'm interested in constructive questions that advances our conversation. So if you've got
No,
another question to ask my guest.
no, I thought that Brother Delani was standing for
Okay,
like a
he is not.
counselor.
He is not. Okay.
No, 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 no. That's not the case, man. Sorry.
Thank you for your question
Okay,
in
then
that case.
I don't have no questions then.
Thank you very much, man. Thank you.
So,
Respect
apologies.
Mahotep.
Indeed.
Is Brother Delani your guest?
Thank you very much. But Lana, I'm going to put you on mute now. I'm going to just go back to
Brother Ged, yes, I am the guest on the show today.
Okay, awesome. Okay, great. So I wasn't aware of that. So Hotep again, Brother Delani, and so
Mahotep, and my respect to you, my brother.
Brother Motivate. But you know, I just want to pick up on your last point, Brother Delani, and Mr. Motivator. I appreciate love that you don't want to get bogged down in particular lines of conversation. However, that being said, we know, it's almost as if we're having this conversation, with, without pretending that we don't know the history of, the politics in the United States or elsewhere. So, to have
I
this
suspect,
conversation,
forgive
for
me, Brother
example,
Geb, forgive me for
let
interrupting.
me just
I
finish. For
suppose what it
example, the
is, you
last
didn't hear
comment that Brother
the
Delani just
start of
made
the interview.
around, brother, let me just finish. The last
Yeah, you didn't
comment
hear
that
the
Brother
start of the
Delani
interview.
made around efficacy, and we should know about the efficacy of what the drugs do, etc., etc. Well, I don't understand that thinking, because what we continue to find out, number one, for instance, the FDA that allows these drugs to hit the market, sometimes with efficacy, with these rigorous tests, and sometimes without. What we find and continue to find many, many years after, that these substances are full of poison, and most of them target African people and make them ill.
Okay.
So I'm not sure
All
why we
righty.
have this
Thank you,
conversation
Brother Geb.
as if we
Thank you
live
very
in
much
in,
for
in some
your
sort of
contribution.
conspiracy
Unless
system.
you can present evidence
just a
to
quick
us, I'm
observation.
happy to do
Just a
so.
quick observation.
Okay. So
What,
what I want to do, forgive me, Brother Delany, is that I don't get bogged down in unsubstantiated statements. I want to look and be focused on the policies that are being promoted by Kamala Harris and receive a Pan-African view on those policies. And in doing so, I believe we will be representing a significant proportion of the African population worldwide. It will be beneficial. It will be beneficial. Okay. So,
yes.
if I may, I want to move on because I'm conscious that I've only got 5 minutes, and I really want to go on to other aspects of the policies that she's espousing, and I want to get on to the issue of employment and rights and wealth creation very quickly. It's a critical subject for us because, of course, it sets out to what degree the African Americans, African populations, immigrant population in the US will take part in the wealth creation. That is the so-called American dream. Okay. Now, what she says is this, and I really want to first of all tackle it from the point of view of education, if I may. And what she says is this: she wants to ensure that the schools, colleges over there, as they call them, are appropriately funded. Okay, and she first of all wants to tackle the issue of student debt, and this is what she says: to date, Vice President Harris has helped deliver the largest investment in public education in American history, provide nearly 170 billion in student debt relief for almost 5 million borrowers, and delivered a record investment in what they call the HBCUs, which are of course these education trust. Now, I think from a Pan-Africanist point of view, we would support such an initiative. Am I right?
Yes. Again, from a Pan Africanist perspective, we start off with the foundation that education is a right. It's like medical care. We shouldn't have not have any student bogged down with debt.
Indeed.
Again, it is criminal to be in even in that situation. It is unfair. It's an injustice to have a significant portion of the population and even a higher proportion of African people population are in debt after going to college and getting a good education. So that for us, from the beginning, straight, we reject the whole premise of even charging students, particularly students from poor and poverty-stricken background, for education. If we are about seriously about elevating everybody in the society, that's a non-starter. But I do support any policy that can alleviate that burden. And obviously the Democratic policy so far has been the only policy to reduce that debt burden on students. So I mean, there's no alternative. Either you keep the debt or you reduce the debt. The Republican side is not even trying. So, a lot of these stuff, they may be radical because we are being accustomed, like I said, we have now normalized this inequality. That even these type of thinking sounds radical. You know what I'm saying? We as revolutionary Pan-Africanists, we come straight out and tell you that education should be a right, medical care should be a right, whatever form, whatever detail that takes. And I just wanted to touch on Gab that whatever, no matter what you come with, you have to have standard. You cannot come tell me how you feel and how you want, and it's all go so. And we know. No, we don't know. We need to know. We need to do the studies, and then it get passed. We don't want to get too carried out in that, carry down the road still. That we take over the whole program and we get nothing accomplished. But I understand the sentiment, but I am one who advocates for standards.
Right.
Whether you like it or whether you're a herbalist, whether you are a mathematician, whether you are a spiritualist, whatever you're a psychologist. If you say you can cognitively heal people, you have to prove it. You have to show me how many people have you healed, show me the studies. Everybody will be held to standard. There's no free ride, there's no free pass. Nobody get the chance to kind of start them way out of things. You have to prove it under my administration. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay, not a problem. As I said, we just need to get a Pan-African interpretation view on the strategies and policies that she wishes to promote. And it's really important.
Yeah, this is one Pan-Africanist that support the scientific standard for everything.
Absolutely right. I might, if I had time, I might just probe a little more on this one, because I don't disagree with you, but just to give it a bit of flesh on the bone. But I just want to just go on. What she says here is this: support American innovation and workers. Now, working with the current President Biden, Vice President Harris helped pass the landmark legislation, the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law, the CHIPS and Science Act, the Inflation Reduction Act, and the American Rescue Plan, which has supported more than 60,000 infrastructure projects, spurred more than 900 billion in private sector investment, and doubled investment in construction of new manufacturing facilities. I could continue, but in that vein, what we want to make sure, one, from a Pan-Africanist point of view, do we support those acts in terms of their intention? And two, as importantly, how do we ensure that the wealth that is behind each of those acts come with government resources, is evenly spread across all communities, as well as the African communities in the United States of America? What say you from a Pan-African viewpoint?
Yes. Again, we tend to view the world slightly different when it comes to resources. We know that the African continent are being raped of a lot of the resources used to build up the infrastructures of the West, particularly America and Europe. And we want to make sure we ensure that African people are being paid the appropriate value for their resources. And I'm hoping in this spending of these hundreds of billions of dollars that African companies and individuals in America would be able to get some of those contracts to be able to earn a substantial amount of income from those contracts. So that those things are from what you call good corporate governance, where you will make sure that everybody in the population benefit from your investment projects.
Well said.
However, we know that a lot of this stuff, a lot of these raw material is being pillaged and being looted from the continent. And we will need to put in place measures to ensure that this doesn't take place. We get fairly compensated for the resources coming out of Africa and the Caribbean and
Well said.
other
Well said. In other
places.
words, need to change the relationship from being exploitation to working in
Yes,
partnership, as it
yes.
characterizes much of the Chinese interaction with African countries. It's partnership building, infrastructure building, as opposed to
Mhm.
exploitation. And that's an important observation, and we can only hope that the Harris-Watts administration will take a completely different attitude to developing
Now,
and supporting African economies. Go ahead, yeah.
that speaks to a bigger context for us as well as an advocate of reparation for African people. We believe that even if they're serious about addressing African people's problems and relating to African people in a just way, the issue needs to be framed in an issue of a reparation framework because of the damage that they have done to the people, infrastructure, and environment of Africa. Special attention will need to be done to correct the imbalance that has emerged over the last 500 years, where African people have been locked out of the Industrial Revolution. And these people, almost 100% of the wealth of the last 500 years has been transferred over to the ruling class, the imperialist classes of America and Europe. We need to definitely have a redistribution of resources, a redistribution of power, where African people now can benefit from the resources that were stolen from Africa.
Well
So that
said.
is
Well said.
the development and the relationship between the U.S. and Africa, if it's to be genuine, have to be framed in a reparative process to repair the damage that they have done to Africa
Mhm.
if they're serious about dealing with us with African people. And obviously, they have to address the domestic population of Africans in America as well as the global population within a reparation context.
Well said. Well said. I'm now out of time. That time went and passed very quickly, as we
Very fast.
expected.
Yes.
And I
Very
love
quickly, my
the
brother.
idea. You have a father present with us with his children in the background, and the children were having fun.
I wish they would just calm down and let me just do this thing without interrupting him every 5 seconds. But I do appreciate your understanding, your
It is.
understanding, my brother.
It is a
Yeah,
wonderful feeling
yes.
to hear the children
We just
playing and
started,
enjoying.
we just started. I'm just warming up to just really get going. But time moves so fast. It's amazing. And
Well, I think if with your agreement, we'll do this again quite soon. We've got on to what the for 5th of November. We may do it again. And it's quite evident
yes.
that I have many texters here, messages online,
Mhm.
and there are a few
Yes.
on the phone line now, but I can't take those calls. There is a thirst to discuss and debate this matter. This is a town hall environment. I want to thank my
Right.
guest. I've only got 3 minutes left now. I want to thank my guest, Brother Delani, for providing a Pan Africanist view, or at least on some of the policy statements by Kamala Harris and Governor Tim Walz. Okay? I want to thank you for at least part two. We'll do a part three very soon. I can tell by the pent up messages I have here, we need to do a part three. And we'll agree specific headings that we will then tackle during that few minutes we'll have together. Is
Right.
that okay with you?
I I would like to thank you for bringing me on your program, and I thank the Galaxy family, the Galaxy management,
Absolutely.
for creating a platform for us to share with our information and knowledge with our people and interacting with our people. And I thank the Galaxy family for listening to us. Do tune into Brother Dolani. I have a podcast as well called Clear Thinking with Brother Dulani. On YouTube is Brother Dulani. On TikTok is Clear Thinking with Brother Dulani. Do tune into more analysis, more Pan-African analysis of the economic, political, and ideological struggles our people are engaged in. And I want to thank you very much, my brother, for having me on your program.
It was
Ashe,
my pleasure.
Hotep.
Thank you. We'll do it again very soon. Good day and enjoy
Ashe,
your family.
Ashe. Thank you, my brother. Ashe.
Okay, all right, okay. Blessing, blessing. Oh, well done, well done. That was very good, very good. And we are almost out of time. That is the end of the interview. There are a few announcements I want to make, but we are up against the time. I will need to disconnect from the galaxyafui.net network shortly. But there are a few other announcements I want to make. So please do not go. And those of you on YouTube, please leave a comment. Give us a thumbs up, or absolutely, if you haven't subscribed, it's free. Why not simply subscribe? I'm not going to disconnect from the Galaxy Afui network. I want to thank the Galaxy management for their continued positive work towards the improvement of the conditions of all peoples, and most certainly the communities of Africa that we represent. Long may you continue your sterling work. There you are. And I say to others here that the discussions we've just begun will always become a little heated at times. It's fine. It is well. It is well. But they are healthy discussions. We will need to discuss the Harris presidency forthcoming. We need to discuss it because it will have a profound impact on all of our lives. And I'll just say, if I may, and I just want to push forward because it's really important in hearing that dialogue as we started the process to look at the policies being espoused by Vice President Kamala Harris, okay, and her running mate, of course, Governor Tim Walz, okay, because they will have such a profound impact on all communities, and most certainly the African heritage communities. It's incredibly important that we discuss them and discuss them in detail, in an honest discussion. That's what we need to have, okay? And if in doubt, we must ask questions and not be weighed or swayed by lots of unfounded propaganda of what's beginning to creep into that dialogue just now. Okay, what we need, if you're going to make a statement, it must be supported with evidence, good quality evidence that will stand up to scrutiny. But it's most critical, though, that we have that town hall debate. Let's have the debate, because I believe, as was meaningful, the Barack Obama presidency, that's why we now have Obamacare, which has saved tens of millions of Americans, and most certainly has had a profound impact on the health outcomes of African Americans. Okay. Oh yeah, meaningful. What will a president, Kamala Harris, what will be her signature legislation? We wait to see, but it's important to look at what she is saying and take her view on what she has said and whether or not they accord with our expectations, and will therefore satisfy the needs, our family needs, the wider community needs. It is very important that we have these discussions. But without further ado, I did want to give a few more quick announcements that I need to play the intro video. And those of you who were not here at the beginning need to watch the intro video, which I'll use to close the show, because it adds additional useful information on the discussion we've just had, which is really a start of a process, but the intro video provides real context and useful information. But before I get to that, I want to just give a further quick announcement. A further announcement about an organization that many of you will recognize that I hold in the highest esteem, and that's called the NINAS organization, focused on the country by the name of Nigeria. Nigeria, of course, Africa's most populous country. Okay, a country with incredible economic potential, natural resources, wherever you look. Yeah, the fourth or fifth largest oil exporter in the world, but a country going through internal strife. And what we need are Nigerians, indeed West Africans of courage, of dignity, who have a clear vision for the future, to come together in common aim and common purpose. I want to commend to you the NINAS organization. They've been regular visitors here on the Motivator Show. And we wish to be a part of the chain to improve governance and wealth creation and opportunities in Nigeria. Why not join the NINAS organization? I commend them to you. If you wish to contact them by telephone, it's Nigeria plus 234 912 1551. Email at info@ninasvoice, NINASVOICE, ninasvoice.org. Or go to their website, www.ninasvoice.org. I commend the NINAS organization to you. And indeed, and I should say, with just to qualify, because we've had members of the Biafra organization, and it is important that Biafra is well represented. And I want to remind people that Biafran war in Nigeria and the terror that many people in Biafra are still experiencing. Biafra is an integral part of Nigeria currently. The reform to that constitution, which is currently expired, okay, is critical if Nigeria is to find a path forward. So it can truly become an African alliance state, full of innovation, opportunities, wealth creation for all. And through that, you can promote peace. Yep. Or indeed, you can promote peace now to create the opportunities for all. It's a decision Nigerians need to make. And I commend NINAS and IBOP to you all. Long may that happen. Long may that happen. And then my last quick announcement, and I just want to just quickly say this. I mentioned earlier on the Southwark Maternity Committee. And Southwark is a borough here in London, in Britain, okay, which looked at the maternity care services and the quality of that maternity care services and its impact on particularly Black or African women. It is quite profound. The concerns being expressed by mums and dads, yeah, prospective mothers and prospective fathers concerned about the quality of maternity services. And I say to those of you who are concerned, you must not stay silent. Write to your MPs, write to your councillors, write to those health trusts, and ensure that your voices are heard. We will have the leaders of the Southwark Maternity Commission back here, hopefully in a year's time, so that we can look closely at the changes that have been made since the Commission's report was published only a few days ago. We look forward to change. For the purpose of these podcasts, that we held in a part of that change. And my last announcement is that wonderful organization. I'm going to put details on the screen now. There you go. Elevated Mind, dedicated to supporting children, young people. And you remember that remarkable human being, Doreen Sinclair McCollins, the CEO and co-founder of Elevated Mind, okay, dedicated to supporting young people in development. And they've got an abundance of evidence of their high performance, delivering good value for money. And so if you are a local authority, if you are a government agency, I commend Elevated Minds to you all. Elevated Minds CIC. Their email address, it's info@Elevated Minds Coaching. Mind with an S at the end, coaching. elevatedmindcoaching.com. Or you can contact them by telephone on 0208 079 0703, an outstanding organization. I have abundance of evidence of their effectiveness. Long may they continue their good works. Now, my time is up. It is now time for you to review my intro video, but now it's my closing video, and provide real information, useful information that you can use, your family can use, your friends, your network can use when assessing the American presidential race. Until the next Tron, I remain the motivator. This is where we translate our words into action, and where success is ours for the taking.
The Motivator Show. The internet's most inspirational podcast. Every Saturday morning from 8 to 10 a.m. Kamala Harris, Vice President. Let's debate a future Kamala Harris presidency on The Motivator Show, the People's Town Hall. Yes! The People's Town Hall on The Motivator Show. The other guy, Donald Failure Trump's record. 6 times his businesses declared bankruptcy. Married 3 times, divorced twice. The first president impeached twice. 30,573 false or misleading claims during his presidency. Trump added $8.4 trillion to the national debt. Gasoline prices increased from $1.86 to $2.38 during his presidency. During the Trump presidency, the economy lost 2.7 million jobs. 4,157 more homicides were committed in 2020 than in 2016. A judge in New York ordered Trump to pay $83,300,000 or £65,500,000 in punitive damages to writer E. Jean Carroll. Donald Trump fined $354 million and banned from running a business in New York for 3 years. Vice President Kamala Harris, born 1964 in Oakland, California. Her father, Professor Donald Harris, Emeritus Professor of Economics at Stanford University, born 1938 in St. Anne's Parish in Jamaica. Her mother, Dr. Shamalia Gopal, PhD, endocrinologist, breast cancer researcher, born 1938 in India, Chennai. Vice President Kamala Harris, legal and political history. In 1990, Harris was hired as a deputy district attorney in Alameda County, California. In 1998, San Francisco's District Attorney Terrence Hallinan recruited Harris as an assistant district attorney, supervising 5 other attorneys, where she prosecuted homicide, burglary, robbery, and sexual assault cases. In 2000, Harris clashed with Terrence Hallinan assistant Darrell Solomon over Proposition 21, a measure related to trying juvenile defendants in superior courts. Vice President Kamala Harris, legal and political history. In 2003, Kamala Harris told San Francisco voters she was a progressive who could bring professionalism and put competence to the job of prosecuting the city's criminals. She resoundingly defeated the two-term district attorney Terrence Hannanen in a runoff election. In 2007, Harris ran unopposed for a second term. In 2011, she was elected Attorney General for the state of California, the first woman of color to hold the position. In 2014, Harris was re-elected against Republican Ronald Gold, winning 57.5% of the vote. Vice President Kamala Harris, legal and political history. In 2016, she was elected a member of the United States Senate to represent the great state of California. In 2020, Harris served in the Senate for roughly 4 years as she resigned after being elected Vice President of the United States of America. Vice President Kamala Harris, the presumptive nominee of the Democratic Party for the 2024 presidential elections. She has a series of firsts to her name. The first African American and first South Asian American Deputy District Attorney in Alameda County, California. A first San Francisco Assistant District Attorney. The first San Francisco District Attorney, a first Attorney General for the state of California, a first elected to United States Senator for the grand state of California, a first elected Vice President for the United States of America. Vice President Kamala Harris, yet another first. After President Biden's withdrawal from the 2024 presidential election, Harris launched her own presidential campaign with Joe Biden's endorsement. On the 2nd of August 2024, Kamala Harris secured enough votes at the Democratic National Convention, NDC, in Chicago. She is the first African American and first South Asian American woman who is now the Democratic Party's candidate for President of the United States of America. Vice President Kamala Harris, the first African American and first South Asian American Democratic Party's nominee for president. Vice President Harris and Governor Walz plan to give tax cuts to over 100 million working and middle-class Americans by expanding the child tax credit and earned income tax credit. As Vice President, she also announced the medical debt will be removed from credit reports, help cancel $7 billion of medical debt for 3 million Americans. To date, Vice President Harris has helped to deliver the largest investment in public education in American history, provide $170 billion in student debt release for almost 5 million borrowers. Vice President Kamala Harris, Democratic Party nominee for president. Why you should vote on the 5th of November. Safeguard our fundamental freedoms. Vice President Harris, fight for our future is also a fight for freedom. In this election, many fundamental freedoms are at stake. The freedom to make your own decisions about your own body without government interference. The freedom to love who you love openly with pride. And the freedom that unlocks all the others. The freedom to vote. Vice President Kamala Harris, the Democratic Party's nominee for president, why you should vote on the 5th of November. Protect civil rights and freedom. Vice President Harris and Governor Walz believe many fundamental freedoms are at stake at this election. They will fight to ensure that Americans have the opportunity to participate in our democracy by passing the John Lewis Voting Rights and Freedom to Vote Acts, laws that will enshrine voting rights protections, expand vote by mail and early voting, and more. Her administration will also continue to protect Americans from discrimination, building on her work to secure $2 billion in funding for offices of civil rights across federal governments. Vice President Kamala Harris, Democratic Party's nominee for president, why you should vote on the 5th of November. Ensure safety and justice for all. As a prosecutor, district attorney, and attorney general, Kamala Harris has fought to ensure everyone has the right to safety, to dignity, and to justice. Everyone should have the freedom to live in safe communities. That's why Vice President Harris is fighting to keep our communities safe from gun violence and crime, secure our borders and fix our broken immigration system, tackle the opioid crisis and fentanyl crisis, and ensure no one is above the law, including the president. Vice President Kamala Harris, Democratic Party nominee for president, why you should vote on the 5th of November. Ensure safety and justice for all. Vice President Harris will make sure that America, not China, wins the competition for the 21st century, and that we strengthen, not abdicate, our global leadership. She will invest in competitive advantages that make America the strongest nation on earth. American workers, innovation, and industry, and work to ensure America remains a leader in the industries of the future, from semiconductors to clean energy to artificial intelligence. Vice President Kamala Harris, Democratic Party's nominee for president, why you should vote on the 5th of November. Ensure safety and justice for all. Kamala Harris will continue to advance American economic cooperation around the world, from rallying international leaders at an AI summit in the UK, to convening semiconductor business leaders in East Asia, to spurring private investment across Africa. The Motivator Show. Success is ours for the taking. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's free. Press the like button and don't forget to leave a comment. Follow us on Facebook. Give us the thumbs up and share with your family and friends. We are also on Instagram and TikTok. Follow us there too. You can listen to us on galaxy@fiwi.net and also Mixcloud too.